about a third down, page Lamed Gimel. The line starts, Harei yesh ba'Torah bechinas helam ho'atzmi. Actually, we should start 2 lines earlier. The line begins, the Ein Sof. We are in the middle of discussing the Indian.
Can I ask one question from yesterday?
Okay, I was going to. Go ahead.
Okay, because we mentioned the beer of Sveik Sveika a number of times.
Yeah.
But yesterday we added a touch that it's the same chance of Easter. This I didn't get at all.
We will have to get a precise instance. Yes, of course. If there are more units, there's more of a chance. But that difference does not cause the halacha change. The halacha change is because of a separate step, not because of the number of instances. Subsequently, I called up Yehuda, started learning the Rambam yesterday. This is rampant everywhere. I mean, you Tumas May. You become as an extension to this, even if the tumor is in one room and you're in a different room, if there is some kind of an opening between these two rooms, then the tumor goes through that opening and everything in that other room also becomes tumor. Now this opening has to have a certain minimum size. And it's interesting to go and understand the various qualifiers that are employed in identifying what type of opening will have that effect. And what does it depend on? Not on the size of the opening. It depends what this opening is for. If the opening is like a service window to put things down, then it has to be tefach al tefach. If the opening is to bring light, then it is a punyan, then it's the size of a coin. And the tumor will go through the coin size. If the opening is like this, if the opening is for some other thing, it won't go through a coin size. It has to have a tefach al tefach. And then there is further down that an opening has to be the size of a head. These are things which clearly cannot be explained on the functioning level, on the physical level. What in fact is the difference between whether an opening is made for this or made for this and so forth? In simple terms, the statement is that if this opening was made for service So if it's less than a tefach, it's not considered an opening. It's considered as if the wall is solid. If, on the other hand, it was made for light, then that is considered an opening. And therefore the tumor can go through it. I'll try as best I can to kind of focus, and I was focused on what is the principle in this. The Rebbe says that the principle in this is that there is Helem Ho'atzmi involved. There is no functioning difference in this opening versus this opening. The opening is identical, depends on what it was made for. It was made for this, then it is an opening. That is not, the effect of that is not in the opening itself. Where is the power of this effect come from? It comes from what's called Etzem Helem Ho'atzmi. The Helem Ho'atzmi principle, we pointed out, this was a very, so to speak, successful means of identifying this nishmosa, linishmosa. And as we always mention the Rambam, that it is imperative to understand that all reality and all understanding, all seichel, is based on a deep cognizance that there is a reality, that there is a first being. This, that there is a first being, even though this first being, you don't encounter it per se. There's no way you can encounter it. This is a first being. This is the being that brings forth all other beings. All other beings. It is everywhere and it is nowhere. The statement of this reality, that there is a first being, is simply, as we said, there is truth in everything. There is significance in everything. This is the meaning of first being and etzem. Just as the motion for that, for us, is in a human dwelling. In your home versus in the street, or in the field, or in the desert. In your home, if there's a napkin on the floor, it's disturbing. It's insulting. If there's a pebble on the floor, why? Because it disturbs, because it bothers your step. What does it offend if there's a napkin on the floor? Does it offend the floor? Does it offend your functional usage of the house? None of that. It offends the reality that this is a home. That reality is fundamental in human life, fundamental to human life. Clearly, where does that reality come from? From the fact that a human being is a real presence. Where does that reality come from? Because he is so what? So capable, so handsome, so smart. Where does that reality come from that a human being is real? From his creator. Because he represents his creator. As we say all the time, a human being cannot think were it not for his awareness that there's reality. He goes to work and wants to pay his bill, he wants to pay and live, so to speak, in honor and respect and comfort. Not because of the experience of that. That if he did not pay the rent, he'd be embarrassed. No, that's not the underlying reason. The underlying reason is because that is very significant. Like we always quote from the Gemara, Odom shein lebayis ein Odom. And he primarily wants to be an Odom. Because of these principles that we discussed, what Odom is. So this is what we see in Torah. And Torah is man dachkin min de chuchmas. I said the final touch. The lines begins with the Ein Sof. It's about 10 lines from the top. That Torah provides for, Torah relates to Helam Ha'atzmi. V'hagam shezehu davki al dei habiruri. Although that this union that Torah relates and brings out the Helam Ha'atzmi, this is al dei habiruri. Which means it is not a direct statement from Torah. This is the birurim, the effect of the Torah presence in the world. So these words, even though this is davke alidei habirurim, this is an allusion to what we discussed early on when we spoke about tshuva. That the phenomenal inyan of tshuva is versus Torah. Torah also provides for tshuva, at least for shoyeg, but there is an activity, there's an action involved. It is not, so to speak, truth to truth, point to point. In tshuva there is that nekuda, and it's an etzem hanefesh to atzmus. So now that we are pointing out that Torah has the koyach also to bring, also relates to Helam Ha'atzmi. So he says, but wait a second, it does not really hit on the point that we are trying to point out, because this is davke al dei habiruri. This is by the effect of Torah, not by the essence of Torah. However, it still holds true what we are pointing out, that Torah is relating to Helam Ha'atzmi. Harei.
All of Torah is by effect. Everything that Chokhmah does in this world is by the effect of bringing from Tainug into to whatever activity a Jew is involved in. Birurim, well, I don't understand the distinction between the essence of Torah and its effect. All of Torah in this world is through effect.
Well, that's what the Rebbe is asking. That's what he's saying, that even though this is through effect, Baldeha Birurim. So where do we find in Torah? We're saying that we find in Torah the Indian that it is related to Helam Ha'atzmi. Because Alidei HaBirurim, you reach to Helam Ha'atzmi. He says, but this is Alidei HaBirurim. That's the Rebbe's question.
Birurim is effect?
Yeah.
Okay. And you get to Helam Ha'atzmi through Birurim?
Yes. That's what we explained.
So why then do we say that it's that the Torah, we're not hitting it directly? Why, if that's its work, if Torah is the work of Torah is viewed to Mevayar, what are we missing in this explanation?
No, we're not missing anything in the explanation. We're missing the point that we were trying to say, to point out that Torah has the element of etzem, which is above effect, like tshuva.
Okay. He's going to explain. Previously we wanted to know how is Chokhmah related to Tainug Ha'atzmi. And we seem not to have an explanation for it other than that it's rooted above. That because Torah is rooted above, so it has a connection to Tainug Ha'atzmi. And that's, we wanted to explain this because we want to say that the Rebbe wants us to realize that Torah is in the highest realms closest to Atzmus, close to Atzmus. And not limited just by what Chokhmah can do. So tshuva was, I don't know how tshuva fits in there, other than I don't understand the place of tshuva in Torah. What does it do for us in explaining that Torah is rooted in close to Atzmus? How does tshuva, and we say that it seems tshuva doesn't have a real place in Torah. It's mentioned, but it doesn't seem to have an actual place there as far as activity is concerned, what the Jew does each day. So what does this seems to limit Torah in fact, in its total existence. So we have to figure out how I'm the same problem with tshuva I have with birurim. Is it that the Rebbe wants us to realize that tshuva brings us to close to essence, to atzmus, and therefore Torah is complete, not limited by chokhmah in this world. That's why I asked you if we could go back to tshuva, because I don't see how this whole flow. I don't understand the place of Torah and the tshuva in Torah and what Torah is missing without tshuva.
You're asking exactly the Rebbe's question right here, what we are trying to come to. Okay. But the Rebbe is saying
But
before,
then I don't understand my own question then.
well, perhaps. The as you said, Torah is Chochmah. They pointed out that that is the Helem not in the Chochmah, but this is the Helem HaAtzmi, the Helem HaOineg, as it is Mislabish in Chochmah. This is not the Helem HaAtzmi itself. We are trying to point out that actually in Torah there is the Helem HaAtzmi itself. Not that which is Mislabish in Chochmah, but the Helem HaAtzmi itself. And the first step towards pointing this out is in the fact that Torah contains the mitzvah of truth. If Torah had no relationship to that upper level, so how is Torah then able to bring tshuva and bring out the year of tshuva? The year of tshuva is above Torah.
How can you blanketly say Torah, that tshuva is above Torah? How can you?
It is above Torah. We discuss it many times because tshuva means etzem to etzem. There's no functional element.
And even though we explained that Torah in fact finds itself rooted in Atzmus, we nonetheless say that
Well, you're missing the two together. So we said, where does Torah have access to tshuva to be able to even to present it? Because Torah is rooted in Atzmus.
Every mitzvah that's mentioned in the Torah, why is it different from the mentioning of tshuva? Why are they, if it's mentioned there, it's there? Well, I don't understand that it seems not to. It seems like it's hovering above Torah.
Because tshuva, every mitzvah has an element of chokhmah in it, and tshuva does not.
Maybe at 3 o'clock in the morning I'll get it.
Why aren't you getting now?
I don't know. I don't get it. I hear the words, but I don't get it.
Oh, that's something else already. That's something else. that you have to do on your own. That is a universal struggle to open up to our own chokhmah and to relate. But this is what the Rebbe is saying. So then the Rebbe goes back and says further, but that's not only that Torah is rooted in Atzmus, that's where you can bring out the principle of tshuva. But Torah itself recognizes and relates to tshuva. And it says that Torah protested to Hashem, and you're creating the human being, how is he going to survive? It's better that he doesn't get created, because he's going to sin and then it's going to become disastrous. So Torah was already pleading for tshuva. So Torah also has an element of tshuva. Because in Torah there is the sense of Helem HaAtzmi. And where do we see this? This is where we're saying that that through Avedis Abirudim, you can actually reach to Helem HaAtzmi. Now the Rebbe says, okay, so that means that in Torah that Torah is relating, Torah brings the inyan from Helam Ha'atzmi. However, this is not exactly what we're looking for. Why? Because this inyan that Torah can bring you to connection to Helam Ha'atzmi, this is only al dei habirurim, which means there's the two activity to birurim, not Torah directly.
Mm. Was the Indian of Birurim brought after Tshuva to bring out a different point, or another mashal of the same, another indicator of the same principle?
No, Benza Birurim is brought out that how the union of the Helam Ha'atzmi is to be found and is brought out through Torah. Tshuva is one thing, it's direct, but Torah also brings out the union from the Helam Ha'atzmi through Avodas HaBirurim. So therefore, so we're saying, okay, so Torah also relates to Helam Ha'atzmi. Hagam, however, this is not exactly what we're looking for. Why? This is exclusively through Birurim, not directly through Torah. So the answer to that, and to show how this is really an element within Torah, is the following. Hareyesh ba'Torah hakoyach al zeh. However, in Torah there is the koyach, there is that power, that capability. Levare birurim bekoyach haTorah. To be effective in that arena. To be mevare birurim bekoyach haTorah. As we pointed out that in Avodas HaBirurim, I pointed to, like all of these examples, to show that what Torah brings out there is not a unit of chokhmah, something that you can explain tangibly. In chokhmah, the difference between a hole that was made for light, or a hole that was made for use, and that changes the entire phenomenon of this opening. Is it an opening or is it not an opening? Chokhmah itself would not be able to to have that fundamental sensitivity to the difference not of the size of the hole, but what was the human intent for it.
Chokhmah could not relate to that?
Right. Is it not an opening?
Chokhmah doesn't take motivation as a factor in evaluating the opening.
And a physical opening.
Physically
This is tumor going through the physical opening.
Okay, so physically they're identical, but and Chokhmah would not see motivation as a factor in...
No, from the human being there's motivation, but this is a tumor right here, and it has to go into this room. And it goes through a physical opening.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sense the difference?
Mm-hmm.
This is only due to the Helam Ha'atzmi, to an essential. There is the famous in halacha. In halacha, in terms of a wall, there is what's called good ochis. Good ochis and good asik. A wall, like by sukkah, if you have an indicator of a wall, the wall goes down all the way to the ground. and you have an even good asika, and the wall can go upwards. So you build up a sukkah based on all of these principles, and you put up a silver candelabra in here. Say, hey, it's sealed off. There's no way the Ganav can possibly go into the sukkah. It's sealed off. Because there is a board on top of a tefach, tefach size downward, and therefore this wall goes all the way to the ground. How did you ever get in there? Halachically, the Torah says, from Avedas Abdiruri, that this is a full-fledged wall. And you were sitting inside the sukkah, not outside, but inside. From what perspective is that? This is what we're saying. This is from a totally different level of perspective. It's not what Chochmah. Even the deepest element of Chochmah cannot relate to this. Like we're saying, okay, it's late already, I just want to. 1 and 1 is 2 ones. That is a fact in the world. 1 1 is 2. That way you need Chochmah. This is not something that you can prove in the world, you can demonstrate. It's a chokhmah. But here we're saying something which is beyond chokhmah. There's a wall over here, but there isn't. There's an allusion to a wall. Okay, so what? Does mean that there are wall, then the tumah cannot go through or can go through? This is it for this morning, and we will continue Mitzvah Hashem tonight, approximately 8:30. All right, but one thing is certain: Mitzvah Hashem, it will be at 679 Crown Street. Okay, that is it.
The bringing this Shabbos is at our friend Yehuda Forster's house. And Baruch Hush will be out of town, so that's a shame.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.